Like, I get it. You think I'm a jerk, or I think you're stupid, or whatever it is. You know, let's just have the conversation.
Welcome to another episode of Chewing the Fat. I'm your host, Big Rob. Thank you so much for following, downloading, listening to the episode. I certainly do appreciate that. Also want to say thanks to Leonard for buying me a coffee at chewingthefatbr.com. I appreciate your support, my friend. I am so excited about my guest for today. We've been trying to get together for a little while because he moved out of town, but you may remember this voice. Please welcome Sean Cash.
Wow, what an intro. That was sick. Okay, first of all, I've listened to several of these episodes, Rob. How do you get people to just send you money? I need, I got to get that figured out.
I just ask. You literally heard how I do that. You literally just heard how I do that.
Oh man, I wish I liked coffee, but I'll have to maybe buy me a double cheese or something. I'll figure it out.
There you go. Buy me pizza. Buy me a cheese. Buy me a grilled cheese. Buy me a burger. There you go. Sean, welcome, man. You are in.
Dude, thanks.
You're in Nashville now, right?
Yeah, we're here in Music City. This is it, Nashville, Tennessee. It's been it's crazy. This is almost a year. When is this? June? So yeah. I don't know when this will air, but coming up on about a year here in Nashville now.
That's awesome. So how are you finding Nashville now? And just background, Sean, if you don't recognize his dulcet tones, was part of the morning show on a country station here in Augusta. And I was doing some fill-in and overnight and or weekend or afternoon or whatever it was. I was kind of doing whatever they asked me to there. So that's kind of where we met over at Beasley. And just during the pandemic, you decided to move to a whole new town, huh?
Well, okay. Oh, well, there was a bunch of stuff that happened in between.
Oh, was there? What?
Well, first of all, Rob, you were, I remember first time I met you, we had lunch at Groucho's and we were all getting together and getting some new headshots done, you know. Oh, yeah. Do you remember doing this downtown?
Yeah.
It was really early 2019. I think it was January of 2019. Anyway, I just wanted to say, before we got into everything else, you were so kind to me and you were so welcoming of me, and everybody was, but I didn't know you from anybody, and you were really sweet to me and had been throughout my whole tenure there. So I very much appreciate that, because sometimes that's not the case, when you go to a new place and there's air talent and then there's new air talent, there could be some, pissing matches, and that just wasn't the case with you, and I really appreciate that.
Well, you're kind of saying that. Life's too short to be mean to people, I think. So
right,
Yeah.
So we moved. I mean, we didn't just be like, hey, during a worldwide global pandemic, let's move. Wasn't really the case, but Rob, it was just one of those things, though, man. You've been around this business long enough, and I know that you've had Cliff on and John Patrick on, and I think they kind of talk about this in spots too. But sometimes these opportunities that present themselves, you can't say no to.
Yeah.
And especially being a newish dad, and with a really young family, sometimes no matter how much you love a place or you want to be in a place and you love the people that you're with, you'd be foolish to say no to something like this here in Nashville. To host my own morning show here, it's a dream come true,
Yeah, especially if you're in country music. I mean, that's Mecca. Nashville is the heart of country music. So you
want to know something that's funny? I don't even work in country music anymore.
Oh, wait, what?
Yeah, dude, I'm out.
Oh,
I am. I work. No, it's great. It really is. I still love country music. Don't get me wrong. And believe me, I'm inundated with it still here.
Yeah.
But I work for a radio station called Mix 92.9. So now I'm playing Bieber and Kenny Loggins and Maroon 5 and Bon Jovi. And
okay.
it's a blast. I'm having a really good time.
Oh, that's awesome, man. That's awesome. Yeah. But yeah, you're right. You've got to be, if you're in radio, you gotta have part of a nomad about you, because you got to go where the work is. You got to go where the opportunities are for most of the time. Yeah.
And it's like, the thing is, we love Augusta so much. My better half, Mimi, like she works remotely now here in Nashville, but her company is in Augusta. She works for Ocasio, and they have a big presence in Augusta, and some of my best friends in the world are still in Augusta, and we're going to try to be back there as much as we can to be with those people. It had nothing to do with the town, or really ultimately nothing to do with the powers that be that either at Kicks. Like, we had a good time. We had some success, and we had a good almost 3 years together. But again, like, when something like this happens, like, you got to roll, right? I mean, you got to.
Yeah. And I mean, that's always one of those hard things. Like you say, it's Nashville. And this is one of those things that are important to people in radio. Like, what market size is Nashville?
So it's grown. It's actually in the top 35 now, into Nielsen. So
So Augusta's around like what, 110 or so, 113, something.
Like floating around between like anywhere between like 109 and 112. And market size, I've always been like, kind of turn my nose up at market size, right? Because you're moving up in a market size or moving down in a market size, a lot of the times it means nothing, right? Like, the money can still be fantastic in a lower market.
The money can be crap in a larger market.
Money can be garbage in a big market. But like, I've always tried to not let that be the reason why we did something as a family, or the reason why I like took advantage of an opportunity. I say all that with with this case being like, okay, we're jumping up, 75 market sizes. Like, all right. Like, you got to do this one, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So what's, had you had any experience with, like Nashville prior, like before coming to Augusta, where were you at?
Okay. So I have kind of bounced my way down through the Southeast, since leaving my hometown in Southeast Michigan. Almost 8 years ago now, I left, and I went from there to Raleigh, North Carolina, where Mimi and I met. And I did middays, and I was the APD and imaging director for a country station in Raleigh. And I was there 3 years, a little over 3 years. Mimi had gotten an opportunity to go. She had worked in. I'm doing this all backwards, but she got an opportunity to work in Charlotte for Beasley, and took that opportunity. Had to, right? Such a good opportunity. But in our relationship, we weren't trying to be in Raleigh and in Charlotte and in Raleigh. And so I bailed on the Raleigh thing and worked briefly in Greensboro, North Carolina, and then read traffic reports in Charlotte for Total Traffic Network. Nice. And I felt a little underutilized. And, I know your podcast has a lot to do with mental health, and those were probably the hardest mental health years of my life. Trying to find my worth and trying to decide, oh my God, what am I going to do? So much of your identity is wrapped up in what you do professionally. And, and that's good sometimes and that's bad sometimes. And I was really struggling with it. And the money was garbage, and we were living in a really big town, and, we were renting a shitty little house, and just that checks all the crappy boxes, right? So I think for our own good, we were like, okay, let's do something else. She was kind of frustrated with her situation as well, having a hard time making headway. And this opportunity came up in Augusta, and we were like, that's only 2 hours away from Charlotte. Like, I didn't even know what Augusta was besides a golf tournament that I watched on television every year.
Right.
I was like, people live there?
They have radio stations?
What do they do there? And I went to visit, and the rest is history, man. Like, it just made too much sense to get into what I was trying to do. And So anyway, very long answer there to your question. I was in Charlotte before I came to Augusta. But I had experience in country radio in Nashville. I think that was your actual question. Like, what did I have? I had probably visited Nashville 10, 11, 12 times just for, personal reasons, and then just for work and everything in between. We won a CMA award in Raleigh, so we came to accept it.
Nice.
So it was weird because every time we visited, we were like, who the hell lives in Nashville? Like, I mean, obviously it's one of the biggest cities in America, but like, how do people do this? Like, it's chaos around here. Like, how do people live? It's so expensive, all this, blah, 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 blah. And now we are those people. So it's very strange.
It's a great town. When I produced morning radio in Birmingham, at the country station there, I mean, we were only 2.5 hours away from Nashville. So, I mean, it was just like a straight shot. We were there all the time. And then, of course, we'd go for the CMAs, and we'd go for, have people down every Friday because they'd come down to do the morning show and things like that. And, but you're right. When you're there and you're in that town, it's like, I mean, obviously stuff happens during the day. I couldn't tell you what it is. It happens during the day because all I ever saw was stuff that happens at night in Nashville. And that is just wild. That is just wild, especially like down Broadway and all that. It's just, that's easy to, I feel like that would be easy to get wrapped up into and overindulge and overdo Broadway very easily.
Yeah, I won't lie. Like you're absolutely right. And like when you come to visit here, when you're a tourist, you don't go to some of the places that we now love and only go to Broadway when we have friends in town or family, or if there's a work, obligation there or something. But when Broadway is your only point of reference, and if people don't have any idea what we're talking about, it's several miles of just chaos. It's the most fun you could possibly have, and also if done the wrong way, you could be absolutely miserable. You squeeze 50,000 people into 2 square miles,
right? It's very much like if anybody's ever been to New Orleans and done Bourbon Street. It's kind of the same thing, but with country music instead of New Orleans jazz.
Honky tonks everywhere. But and when we moved, that was our point of reference, right? Like the more times we had come, or the more times we had done things with some record label friends of ours or whatever, like they would maybe take us, 2 blocks left, and it would be like, wow, we're so cool. We know all the cool spots in Nashville. And now when we go now, we're like, oh my God, this is just right off Broadway. Like we don't, so we were a little nervous. Like we didn't know that we live in Donaldson here, a little east, maybe 15 minutes east of the city. And we really love it. And this is such a cool town, a lot like Augusta, in the fact that I feel like people associate it with one thing, and it's not fair to the town or the people that love it, because there's so many great things around it, that people should definitely take the time to discover.
So what's so seeing as you're talking about those places to discover, then what's the now that you've been there a year, what's the spot someone needs to not miss if they come to if they're heading to Nashville, but they want to, have the locals experience?
Okay. Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I'm only going to give you like 2 because I'm not trying to get these places packed.
No.
Because then you won't to get tables.
Right. You won't be able to get in there. Right. We don't want that. I mean,
I'm not big enough here to just like get my own table, Rob. This ain't Augusta, baby. Come on, man. Look, there's several things that I think people can do that I think will be a blast, especially if you have a family, right? Like it's tough to just walk around Broadway with a kid, especially if they're under, if they're not a teenager or whatever.
Yeah.
Go see some of the beautiful parks here, and they're downtown, so you can still get that vibe of country music and all that. Go to Centennial Park where the Parthenon is. Go to Bicentennial Park where the War Memorial is, and the Farmers Market, and the beautiful water globe, and the bells at the top of the hour.
Oh, wow.
Such a great photo op, with the Capitol building in the background. And again, you're still downtown. If you are going to go with your buddies or whatever, and you are trying to, throw a couple back and listen to some great tunes, you can get off of Broadway and go to Midtown and, head out to where Winners and Losers is. And there's a great place there now called Velvet Taco. I think it is a national chain, but I love it. It's delicious. There's a Tailgate Brewing over there with some of the best pizza in the city and some great local beers. But there's, if you have a rental car too, there's places to get out. Go to 12 South where you can do some great boutique shopping. My better half loves it over there, man. She's always buying something. I'm like, that's a $90 scarf. Like, what are we doing? But that's a fun area to explore too. And if you like history, there's so much here. There's the Belmead Plantation, and Andrew Jackson's mansion is here where he grew up. So anyway, there's lots to do besides Broadway. And I'm not knocking Broadway. Yeah. It's a blast. Yeah. It's some of the most fun you will ever have with your people. Do not get me wrong. Right. But I have a rule now that we live there. You can go to Broadway between 11 a.m. and 4 p.m. And then that's it. We're going home. And the thing about downtown Nashville too, and I'm a larger fella, and like it's so hilly. Like what the hell with Tennessee and these hills? Like, it's crazy. Like, you could be walking and be like, let's hit Acme down by the river. It's beautiful over there. Let's get a picture. Okay, awesome. Well, we're at, 5th and Broadway, and you got to walk all the way down there. I get there, and it's like, that's it. Well, you better take this picture because I'm going to die.
You've like traveled up and down like 12 atmospheres just to get over there. Oh,
my God. Yeah. And it's 100 degrees, and all that. So I say all that with, I hope people continue to come visit us. We've hosted a gazillion friends and family, it feels like, so far. And we've had a great time.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, and I'm sorry I jumped right into Nashville and what you're doing now and all, but for you, was radio always that always the dream for you? Was that were you one of those, hey, you have a great voice kind of kids, or?
I don't know. No, I don't think so. I was in a lot like you. I was listening to y'all's episode with Cliff, and it's funny how guys like us, kind of all cut from the same cloth in a way, have a lot of the similar paths to how we ended up where we ended up. But I also was a theater kid, man. Like, I started doing theater my freshman year of high school, and unlike y'all, my grades were terrible, and I mean terrible. Like, I think I graduated with a 2.1 GPA or some shit like that. Like, I'm barely scraping by. And I knew it was going to be really hard for me. And I even knew at 16, 17, it was going to be really hard for me to like sit down at a desk every day and earn a living. Like, that was going to be nearly impossible. I just didn't like being told what to do. If something doesn't interest me, it's really difficult for me to care about it and then apply myself to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So all I wanted to do was be on stage and act and host things. I wanted to be a musician. I played drums and sang in bands and stuff. And I realized, okay, well, that's maybe not as as easy to do as theater. So let me focus on theater. And my senior year, I was in a musical and I was in the regular stage show thing. And my theater teacher pulled me aside and was like, what are you going to do after this? And I was like, well, I'm going to go study theater at a university in Oakland County, Michigan, called Oakland University. And she was like, your grades are just dog butt. They suck. You're not going to get in. Like, you're not going to get into any school. I mean, like, you got to start figuring that out. And I was like, whoa, okay. Didn't think about it like that. And she goes, let me tell you something. Don't forget it, but like, think about broadcasting. you're really good reading things off of cue cards and whatever it is. And why don't you think about that before you start, putting your eggs into this basket of being an actor? I was like, okay. And I didn't really know what that meant. So I gravitated towards radio because, well, I look like this and I can't television. So I started volunteering at a community radio station when I was 17 years old. And I've literally never done anything else after that. So I was able to get my grades up and go to community college and end up getting into Oakland, and they had a radio station there. And I kind of, for the next 5 years, did that. That was my job. And I ran it. We won a bunch of awards sometimes. Sometimes we got our butts kicked on some stuff. We did great air shifts. We did terrible air shifts. We did everything in between. Yeah. And I haven't done anything else since I was 17 years old.
Wow.
And I hope I never have to.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think there's something really important, especially when you find something like that you're passionate about. If you can make that kind of promise to yourself, like you just did, this is what I want to do. Yeah. And you pursue that, you know what I mean? You try to keep that promise to your younger self, like, all right, I'm not going to have a job that I don't enjoy. That was the promise I made myself, was like, I'm not going to work at something that I don't enjoy. So I never worked at a fast food restaurant. I always sought out opportunities to do something that at least I found some enjoyment in.
Yeah. So I did have one other job. I won't lie. I when I was like 15, I worked at Tubby's Submarines, and I worked there for 2 days. They made you wear those plastic gloves when you get people's subs ready, Yeah. And I had sweaty hands, and I was always dropping stuff and everywhere. So like in the middle of the lunch rush, I was already terrible at this job. I couldn't do anything at it. And I remember dropping I had made this big giant sub for this guy, and it was like a long wait. He was already pissed and whatever. And I dropped it on the floor right in front of him. And the store manager was like, listen, kid, this just isn't working. And he fired me right in the middle of lunch rush. That they would have rather been understaffed than have me slap cold cuts on a 12-inch wheat bun,
Wow. Well, sometimes we need those signs from God that, like, this is not for you. And sometimes it takes you getting fired for some place to reassure you of that type of thing. So
a sandwich artist I was not going to be.
Well, I sold cars one day. I had a bag.
Did you sell one?
No. I was just in training. I didn't even get to that. No, I was going to sell cars because I had like falling out with like the PD at the station I was working at, and was just mad. And I was like, F this. I'm not going to, because it was one of those situations where we're like, oh, well, we need you to come in early and do this and stay late and do that. And also drive your own van to your remote and blah, 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 blah. I was like, forget this, man. I called a friend who worked at a car dealership, and I was like, man, I need something else. I got to do something else. And he's like, yeah, man, come on. I got you. That's one thing we don't have a lack of in radio is friends that work at car dealerships.
Right.
And so I went in for the training, and they put me in this little like closet room with a TV. I mean, it was very almost like Clockwork Orange-ish, Yeah. And they played the video, and the video literally was like, burn all your bridges. You won't be a good salesperson if you have a plan B. You have to rely on the sales that come into the lot to be able to do this job. And if you can't do that, you're not going to be a good salesperson. I was like, yeah, I am not going to not have a plan B. I'm sorry. I'm out. This is not for me.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Also, like, what a way I mean, the people that make a living doing it, like, super kudos. Yeah. I don't know how they do it.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
But yeah, it just was not for me. So as you're there, what's next for you? What's the long game? What are you hoping to do?
Honestly, Rob, like, I gotta chill for a while, man. Like, I gotta be someplace for a while. And that was another reason. I really don't have any problem saying this. That was another reason, like, Augusta wasn't going to work out for our family. I didn't see the financial fortitude that I needed. I have no idea where I just got fortitude. Wow, that was cool. I didn't see it. I didn't see it there. You know, sometimes when you just have a feeling, and you know, when you're, it's not that you're unhappy. Yeah. It's not that you're, you know, pissed at anybody or whatever. That's not it. But like, you just know, like, okay, I'm going to reach a cap here. I'm going to reach a point here where this is all I'm going to be able to achieve here, not only financially, but professionally as well. Like, we had a really good time doing the show that we did. And it was two different versions of it. We were a 3-person show for a little over a year. No, longer than that. A little longer than that. There was Brian, myself, and Jenny, and then she left to do something else, and then it was just Brian and I. So there's kind of 2 different versions of the show there. Yeah. But like, we were pretty successful, and we had the numbers to back that up in the market. So like, when you have that type of success and you get it, and then you sustain it for a while, you're like, okay, I know I can do this. Yeah. Like, I know I can do this at a high level, and I want to do it at a high level. And then when you get those numbers to sustain at a high level, you get financially compensated for it appropriately. And like, so I say all that because this is finally the situation where I think that I can sit and raise my family for a while and not have to, you know, be on the lookout or have to take a call from somewhere else to be like, okay, now let's think about this. But this is the place where I think I know that we can like chill for a bit and like put a decade into a market. Like, how cool would that be? Yeah. To make our home here. You know, we have a 2-year-old, dude, and I'm not trying to take her all over the place. I want her to have some familiarity. I know she's only 2 years old, but like, I want her to have a home. I want her to later in her life to come back to this place and be like, yeah, okay, this is home. These are the memories that I have here. And families move, people move, like that shit happens. Like, I get it. But the move was very stressful to get here. Yeah. And we just have zero interest in doing that again. And I love where I am. I love the people that I'm with. And this company has been everything but, you know, I mean, they've been nothing but generous to me. And they've given me everything that I could have hoped for. So it's time to chill for a while, man. I mean, if you would have asked me that 2 years ago, I would have a completely different answer. Yeah. But no, right now it's time Nashville is home.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. So outside of work and the family, what else are you into? Anything that's just brings you joy?
Man, I just shot 88 at a golf course the other day, and you would have thought I won the British Open. Like, I have been grinding here in Nashville, trying to work on the game, you know, trying to figure out why I can't hit out of the tee box, working on that putting stroke. Like, that's, I fell in love with golf living in Augusta. Like, I've always played golf since I was a teenager. Took a long break. It just, I don't know, I didn't have the right people to play with or whatever. I just kind of lost interest in it. And then, you know, re-falling in love with the game over the last 4 years. It's been a blast, man. So, I mean, if you need me, if you can't get a hold of me here at the house or at work or whatever, I'm more than likely on a course somewhere, and I'm not picking your call up. I'm not. I'll hit you with a text when I get home, but you know.
All right, Sean, this is the second part of the show, the second segment. This is where we kind of dive a little bit deeper into you, talk a little bit more about mental health. You know, as I say, I think everybody has some form of, you know, anxiety, depression, whether you have it diagnosed or you don't know why, you just kind of feel like you don't want to work today or whatever it is. We all have those common experiences. And I think being able to share those with each other really helps us to understand that we're not alone, because that is one of the thieves of joy from depression, is that it tells you you're alone and you're the only one that feels this way.
Yeah.
So I love bringing this to light. So for you, how do you keep the darkness at bay?
You know, man, like, this will sound like the biggest, first of all, I love that you do this, because I think that there is a stigma in this country that like you have to be this crazy person or this sad person or this violent person to have issues with your day to day and where you at in your headspace. And I think that's crazy. Everybody deals with this in different ways. And so I think that you bringing attention to this is super cool. And I think it should be a safe conversation like it is on this show, instead of something that comes with like that grisly, weird feeling, you know,
absolutely.
Like, oh God, we got to talk about this. I think like the more open we can have conversations like we're about to have, then the safer we will all be and the better we will all be. So I applaud you for that. But like, this is going to be Cornball City, USA. But, you know, when I met Mimi, like she really, I don't know, I won't say I was an angry guy, but I let things bother me and I let things consume me that it just doesn't matter, you know, and she did a really great job of helping me figure those things out, mostly professionally, right, at first, and then you know, helped me in my everyday life. But you know, I think finding something you like to do and staying active really helps me. I don't have time to think about things that bum me out, and I don't have the space for it in my life, you know, and I don't want to I don't want to create that space either. I'm trying so hard to be positive on things that maybe 5 or 6 years ago I wouldn't be. And, you know, surrounding yourself with negative people, I have found has been really detrimental to my mental health. And I try not to. And I try to control the things that I can control. And she really helped me understand that. And she really helped me get my arms around that. If you can't control something and you know that you can't, and you're going to let that totally ruin your day, that's not worth it to me, you know? And I know those things, that's a lot easier said than done. And those things can be harder to ID sometimes, but you know, I guess another long answer here, but like, I feel like if you can keep the negativity at bay even a little bit and just worry about your own shit, that will help you realize, okay, not everything is the end of the world here. Not everything is meltdown mode. Life goes on. World keeps spinning. There's no reason for me to go home and dwell on this and get to a worse place. Let's ID it at the door and be done with it. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if that makes any sense, but
no, that makes perfect sense, because that's the thing is like, if you've got this negative stuff or a person, let's personify it. There's a negative person that's always, you don't know what they're dealing with, and they may be dealing with something that they don't bring up. They don't have this type of open conversation. They don't know you that well. They don't feel comfortable. There are things and demons that they may be dealing with that you just have no idea about. And you have to understand it's like, them being like that doesn't have anything to do with me. So I can't let it affect me personally because of that. But also because I'm not letting it affect me personally, it may have to put distance between me and that person, or me and that person in that particular situation or whatever.
And not saying that person is a bad person or that person is a less than person. That person is dealing with something. And that person needs to seek the help and advice and guidance that you have found for yourself. And I've also found that, like, again, having these conversations, like, if anybody knows me on, on a personal level that's listening to this, they can attest to it. If I have an issue with someone, or I feel like someone may have an issue with me, I'm a cut it off at the head kind of person. Let's talk about it, man. Like, I get it. You think I'm a jerk, or I think you're stupid, or whatever it is, let's just have the conversation. There's no reason for you to have to go home or go to work or get in your car and be like, wow, this is going to dominate the rest of my day, trying to figure out why he said this, or why this person said that, or whatever it is. Open dialogue is okay. And I hope that with shows like this and conversations like this, it'll encourage more people to feel safe to have those conversations. And I hope that those conversations can remain safe, because I think that it'll help so much. You know what I mean? I just, an open dialogue is great. I think that people struggle to communicate how they're feeling sometimes. So, for me, if I can get to where you're at quick, then like we'll be all right,
All right, Sean, this is the third segment of the show. It's time now for the Fast Five. Fast Five. It's time now for the Fast Five. Fast Five. Maybe I should have done I was going to say, maybe I should have done like a country version, seeing as you're in Nashville, but you don't work at a country station or something. It's the Fast Five. We're going to keep it all alive. It's Fast Five. I don't know.
And I left my fiddle upstairs. I'm so bummed.
Do you play the fiddle?
No.
Oh, dang it. I got really excited about that, man. I was like, what?
I would have sent you so many of my fiddle podcasts if I had been.
That would have been amazing. The Fast Five is powered by Poddex. It's an app created by my friend Travis Brown. It's created for podcasters. Over 4,000 interview questions. But it also has physical decks that you can get. So they're great to keep in your back pocket if you ever just have to, speak before your, Rotary Club or something, or just you need an icebreaker.
Yeah.
You can check them out. Matter of fact, if you go to chewinthefatbr.com/poddex and use the promo code CHEW, you can get 10% off your physical decks. But I'm going to use the app here. You can find it in any of your app stores, and no wrong answers.
Okay.
Just the first answer that comes off the top of your head. And here's question number 1.
Okay.
Is it worth paying more for IMAX?
No.
No?
No, come on. It's already a ripoff anyway to go to the movies.
Yeah, I mean, because movies are they're like $17, $18 now.
Come on, man.
You got to pay.
Wait till it gets on HBO Max. Watch it at home.
Okay. All right. See, I am a fan of IMAX movies. But I was a fan of IMAX movies when they used to be like those little 45-minute nature movies that you'd see at the at a museum or something. And so I was like, those I thought were amazing.
Yeah. The life of the cheetah is different now in Africa.
Exactly. Exactly. Now that it's like, Batman and IMAX, I'm not that much, and not that thrilled about it. But all right. Question number 2. Do you like to plan things out in detail or be spontaneous?
Can I be a combo?
Yeah.
Of both?
Yeah.
I hate being part of a bad plan, but sometimes I hate it, bro. Like we're making plans and I'm like, you guys, this doesn't make any sense. And everyone's like, just go with it. And I'm always the cranky dude in the back. But then when that plan inevitably fails, you got to be, spontaneity's got to take over.
Yeah, all right, we're going to pivot. We're going to do this now. We just got someone's making a decision. We're going. Yeah. I like it. All right, question number 3. Burger or hot dog?
Burger. Hot dogs are the most disgusting thing on this planet. Don't ever eat a hot dog. You're a freak if you like hot dogs.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That is a very concrete standpoint that you stand in, sir.
You know what they put in those things, Robert? I mean, my God.
Well, what's your favorite burger then? What do you like on your burger?
Okay, so I just had, this is funny because yesterday I just went to another place here. Write this on your little sheet of places you're going to go visit in Nashville. It's called Burger Up. Okay, and I just had it yesterday. 2 Wagyu beef sliders, one with provolone, one with Colby Jack, lettuce, tomato, pickle. Fantastic.
Awesome. Burger Up. Definitely have to do that. All right, question number 4. What embarrasses you instantly?
Oh my God, how much time do you have? I mean, when somebody, I'm not a snappy dresser, and when somebody points it out, that's pretty embarrassing because I could do better. Or when I can't fix something, like I'm not very handy either, like screwdriver, hammer, like whatever. When it's pretty clear I can't help, that's pretty embarrassing too.
Okay. when your lack of handymanness is brought to light, you're like,
and I'm fat, so it's like when you get out of breath by doing something, it's like, oh God, this is embarrassing.
All right, and question number 5. All right, you said you're from Michigan, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Are there any local dish or food product from where you grew up that you miss?
there's nothing like a Comerica Park slice of Little Caesars pizza.
Okay.
Because they make it at the ballpark. They charge you like $17 for the slice. So they got to make sure it tastes like halfway good. I swear they use like a different crust and it's a square piece. I don't know, man. Something about a Comerica Park slice of Little Caesars. That's my jam. And I can't get that anywhere else. You know what I'm saying?
Well, it sounds like you got to have a trip to Comerica Park in your future.
Soon. We're going at the end of the month, man.
See?
We're
there
going.
You go. Well, you're going to have to send me a picture of you and a slice of pie. Now, okay? That's what I need. I need to see that. All right, Sean, that is our Fast Five, and that's the show, man. Thank you so much for being here.
This is great, Rob. Thanks for letting me do this, man. I had a really good time with you this morning, so I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. This is awesome. If folks want to keep up with you now that you're in Nashville, what's the easiest way they can do that?
Well, I definitely recommend, like, if you like, if you're looking for a good mix of music, like, check out our app, the Mix 92.9 app, or go to online at mix929.com. I love the radio station. It's such a fun, you literally cannot listen and not have a good time with it. It's that much fun of a playlist. And then you can want to see pictures of my cute kid, and you can go on Instagram at SeanCash99.
Awesome. Well, we'll definitely put those links in the show notes. And, of course, you can find out more info about Sean and all of our past guests on the website, chewingthefatbr.com. Again, Sean, thank you again for being here, buddy.
Thanks, brother.
It's so good seeing you after it's been a while. And I wish you nothing but success in Nashville. And I'm going to have to come and see you sometime soon.
Let me know when you're in town, man. I would love it.
Absolutely. If you would like to support this podcast, I'd appreciate it if you bought me a coffee at chewingthefatbr.com. But until next time, I look forward to it when we have a chance to sit a spell and chew the fat.